All right, today we're going to jump in a time machine and go back to just one single year, a year that really was a turning point for online learning, 2007. And we're going to see it all through the eyes of a real pioneer in the field, Morten Flate Paulsen. So let's dive in.
I mean, it's kind of hard to even picture it now, right? But back in 2007, online education was on the brink of just exploding into the mainstream. It was this perfect storm where the business side, the tech, and this growing global community, they all started to connect. So what did that moment actually look like? Well, the year kicked off with a really clear signal. Online learning wasn't just some academic experiment anymore. Nope, it was becoming very, very serious business. The year started with a bang, a huge acquisition. This private education group, Anthem B. Nielsen, or ABNU for short, they bought the NKI Group. And NKI was a big deal, a true pioneer, especially with their hugely successful NKI Distance Education. This wasn't some small-time merger. This was a signal flare to everyone that the e-learning space was consolidating and turning into a real industry. And just to give you a sense of the scale here, check this out. The total turnover for this new, combined company was 562 million Norwegian kroner. To put that in perspective, that was about 68 million euros at the time. So yeah, we are talking about a significant, fast-growing industry. And this quote from the official press release, it really captures the whole mindset. The goal was to become a top 5 player in Europe. I mean, the language is all about market position, growth. This was the new, ambitious face of online education. But it wasn't just about the money. The technology itself was going through this massive shift. Web 2.0 was the big buzzword, and it was all about making the web more interactive, more collaborative, more social. Now, what's really fascinating here is how you can see everything happening all at once. In April, you've got a key educator like Paulsen getting on Facebook. Then, that summer, his own institution, NKI, launches a brand new social learning platform. And then, bam, smack in the middle of it all, in June, Apple releases the very first iPhone. The world was changing, and learning was changing right along with it. So let's peek under the hood of NKI's new platform, SESAM 6. The whole philosophy was built around user-generated content, making things personal and interactive. And the tech they used shows you exactly how they did it. It was all open source, using tools like Ajax to make web pages dynamic without constantly having to reload. This was literally the engine that was going to power a whole new, more social way of learning. But behind all this cool technology, there was this core educational idea that was driving everything. Paulsen called it cooperative freedom. See, the challenge wasn't just about building fancy tech, it was about using that tech to solve a really fundamental problem. How do you give students the flexibility to learn on their own time, but also create a real community where they can truly collaborate? And this quote from Paulsen himself in 2007 just nails it. The goal was always human-centered. It wasn't about the code. It was about finding that sweet spot, that perfect balance between individual freedom and learning together. And none of this was happening in a vacuum. There was this tight-knit international community of researchers and educators who were constantly traveling, meeting up, and debating these exact ideas. They were literally shaping the future of the field together, one conference at a time. Their year of collaboration really kicked off in Amsterdam. They had these R&D meetings for projects focused on e-learning quality. I mean, these were the real working sessions where the big ideas for the future were getting hammered out. Then in May, it was on to Dublin for a big distance learning conference. And get this, the hot topics were Web 2.0, social media, and the future of mobile learning. And remember, this was just weeks before the first iPhone was even out. They were way ahead of the curve. Next stop, Naples for the annual European Distance and E-Learning Network Conference, also known as EDIN. And there, Paulsen was actually elected to the executive committee. It was a clear sign of his growing influence and just how important NKI's work was to the entire European e-learning community. The year of travel wrapped up in Lisbon, and this meeting was for a project that was so full of joy and good vibes that Paulsen remembers it as the Laughing Project. It's just a great reminder that these pioneers weren't just colleagues, they were friends, building a new world together. And the whole year just built up to this huge milestone, a moment to really look back and take stock of just how far online education had come. On November 20th, NKI celebrated its 20th anniversary as an online school. Just think about that for a second. 20 years.
They started this whole thing back in 1987, way before most of us had even heard of the internet.
And this message from another pioneer, Robin Mason, really puts it all in perspective. I mean, today, online learning is everywhere. But in 1987, it was a massive risk. It was built on tech that was clunky and unreliable. It took some serious vision.
Tony Bates, another giant in the field, said the same thing. He pointed to vision, leadership, and professionalism as the keys to NKI's success. It just goes to show you, it wasn't just about having the technology. It was about having the right people and the right philosophy to make it all work for 2 whole decades. And finally, I love this forward-looking message from Terry Anderson because it perfectly captures the spirit of 2007. Online learning was finally hitting the mainstream, but the work wasn't done. The real challenge for the pioneers was to keep innovating, to keep leading the way. Which, brings us right back to today. We're living in the world that they helped build. Online learning is absolutely everywhere, a massive multi-billion-dollar industry. But it leaves us with a pretty big question. With all of our advanced platforms and incredible tools, have we actually achieved that balance of individual freedom and meaningful cooperation, that cooperative freedom that the pioneers of 2007 were fighting so hard for? Now that's something to think about.